The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Imperial scout ship. Its sleek, silver hull gleamed in the light of distant stars. Inside, Captain Zorax leaned forward in his command chair, his four eyes fixed on the main view screen. "Sir, we're picking up signals from the third planet," reported his sensor officer, a tall, green-skinned alien. Zorax nodded, his antennae twitching with interest. "On screen," he ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a blue and green planet swirling with white clouds. It looked so small, so insignificant in the vastness of space. But appearances could be deceiving. "Life signs?" Zorax asked. "Billions, sir," the officer replied, surprise evident in his voice. "And they're broadcasting. Radio waves, television signals, internet data. It's all primitive by our standards, but they're advancing," Zorax finished. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. How did we miss this world for so long? No one had an answer. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They thought they knew every inhabited world. This discovery was unprecedented. "Send a report to High Command," Zorax ordered. "We'll need to observe this species more closely." For weeks, the Imperial ship watched Earth from orbit. They intercepted broadcasts, studied human languages, and sent cloaked probes to gather more data. The more they learned, the more concerned Zorax became. These humans were violent, yes. Their history was filled with war and conflict. But they were also incredibly adaptive. They had gone from horse-drawn carriages to spaceflight in less than a century. Their rate of technological advancement was alarming. If they continue at this pace, Zorax mused to his second-in-command, they could rival our technology within a few hundred years. The implications were clear. The Empire had never faced a serious challenger. But these humans, they had potential. Back on the Empire's capital world, the High Council gathered to discuss the report. The chamber was filled with representatives from 100 different species, all united under Imperial rule. At the center sat the Emperor himself, a being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated robotic shell. "This cannot be allowed," declared one council member, slamming a tentacle on the table. "We must crush these humans before they become a threat." "Patience," the Emperor's voice boomed. "We have ruled for millennia. What are a few hundred years to us? We should watch and wait." Debate raged for days. Some argued for immediate conquest. Others suggested peaceful contact. A few even proposed avoiding Earth altogether, letting the humans advance in isolation until they were ready for galactic society. In the end, the Emperor made his decision. "We will test them," he announced. "Send a diplomatic mission. Offer them a choice. Join the Empire willingly or face our wrath. Their response will determine our next move." As the council session ended, one young diplomat approached the Emperor privately. "Your Majesty," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "what if the humans refuse? What if they fight back?" The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then, to the diplomat's surprise, he laughed. It was a cold, metallic sound that sent chills down her spine. "My dear," the Emperor said, "no species has ever successfully resisted the Empire. If these humans are foolish enough to try, they will learn why we have ruled unopposed for so long." But deep in his artificial heart, a flicker of doubt arose. These humans were unlike anything they had encountered before. For the first time in eons, the Emperor felt a spark of, was it fear? No, surely not. But as he dismissed the diplomat, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The gears of galactic politics were turning. Fleets were being assembled. Diplomats were preparing their speeches. And on a small blue planet, blissfully unaware, billions of humans went about their daily lives, not knowing that their whole world was about to be turned upside down. The stage was set. The players were moving into position. And the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen was about to begin. The massive Imperial ship appeared in Earth's sky without warning. It hung over New York City like a dark cloud, stretching from horizon to horizon. People stopped in their tracks, cars screeched to a halt, and the whole world seemed to hold its breath. In the White House, President Sarah Chen stared at the live feed on her screen. Her hand shook slightly as she reached for her phone. "Get me the UN Secretary General," she ordered. "And someone find out why our early warning systems didn't catch this." Within hours, world leaders gathered in an emergency video conference. Faces etched with worry filled the screens as they debated their next move. Before they could decide, the alien ship broadcast a message to every TV, radio, and digital device on the planet. "People of Earth," a deep, otherworldly voice boomed. "We are the Galactic Empire. Your world now stands at a crossroads. Choose wisely." The message was clear. An alien delegation would arrive at the United Nations headquarters in 24 hours. Earth's leaders were to be there to receive them. As the news spread, reactions varied across the globe. Some people panicked, rushing to stockpile supplies. Others celebrated, believing this was the dawn of a new era. Many simply waited, unsure what to think or do. In a small town in India, a young girl named Priya watched the sky with wonder. "Do you think they're friendly, Papa?" she asked her father. He squeezed her hand, his eyes never leaving the stars. "I don't know, Beta, but whatever happens, we'll face it together." The next day, as the world watched, 3 alien figures descended from the ship in a beam of light. They were tall, with blue skin and 4 arms each. Their eyes, all 6 of them, scanned the crowd of leaders and reporters gathered before them. The lead alien stepped forward. In perfect English, it spoke. "I am Ambassador Xan of the Galactic Empire. We have watched your species for some time now. Your potential intrigues us." President Chen, chosen to speak for Earth, stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth, Ambassador. We hope for peaceful." Xan cut her off with a wave of its hand. "Peace is an option, yes, but it comes at a price." The ambassador's words sent a chill through the crowd. Xan continued, "The Empire rules over 10,000 worlds. We bring order to chaos, progress to primitives. We offer you a choice. Join us willingly, submit to imperial rule, and we will guide your species to greatness." A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. Some looked intrigued, others outraged. Chen kept her face neutral as she asked, "And if we refuse?" All 6 of Xan's eyes blinked slowly. "Then you will be conquered. Resist, and your civilization will be replaced." Gasps and shouts erupted from the crowd. Chen raised her hands, calling for calm. "Surely there's room for negotiation," she asked. "A middle ground." Xan's laugh was like grinding metal. "Your species amuses me. You stand before the might of a galactic civilization, yet you think to negotiate. No, humans, you have one standard week to decide. Submit or face annihilation." With that, the aliens vanished in another flash of light, leaving Earth's leaders stunned and divided. In the days that followed, debates raged across the planet. Some argued for submission, believing it was the only way to survive. Others called for resistance, unwilling to give up human freedom. In secret bunkers, military leaders drew up defense plans. Scientists worked around the clock, trying to understand the alien technology. Civilians built shelters and formed community support groups. As the deadline approached, President Chen addressed the world one last time. Her face was grim but determined as she spoke. "My fellow Earthlings," she began, "throughout our history, humanity has faced countless challenges. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. Now we face our greatest test yet." She paused, taking a deep breath. "The Empire offers us safety at the cost of our freedom. They threaten us with destruction if we refuse. To them, I say this: humanity will not bow. We will not surrender. If it's a fight they want, then a fight they shall have." Cheers erupted in living rooms and public squares across the globe. As Chen's words echoed around the world, a new sense of unity emerged. Humanity, for perhaps the first time in its turbulent history, stood as one. The clock was ticking, the Empire's deadline loomed, and Earth prepared for war. The sky turned red as thousands of Imperial ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Their engines roared like angry beasts, shaking windows and setting off car alarms. People looked up in fear and awe as the alien armada blocked out the sun. In the Pentagon's war room, General Maria Rodriguez watched the radar screens fill with red dots. She turned to her team, her face grim but determined. "This is it, people. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of." The first shots came from the Empire. Beams of energy rained down on major cities, targeting military bases and government buildings. The devastation was immediate and horrifying. But humanity wasn't caught entirely off guard. In the week since the Empire's ultimatum, Earth had prepared as best it could. Air Force jets screamed into the sky, engaging the alien fighters in desperate dogfights. Ground-based lasers, hastily retrofitted with insights gained from studying the Empire's technology, fired back at the invading ships. In orbit, the International Space Station, now armed with experimental weapons, became humanity's first line of defense. Commander Lee Jin-ho gritted his teeth as he fired the station's main cannon at an approaching Imperial cruiser. "For Earth," he shouted as the alien ship exploded in a brilliant fireball. On the ground, things were chaotic. In London, a group of civilians led by a quick-thinking bus driver named Ahmed managed to bring down an Imperial scout ship using nothing but improvised explosives and a double-decker bus as bait. The captured alien tech would prove invaluable in the fights to come. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazilian special forces ambushed a group of alien troops attempting to establish a beachhead. The aliens' superior technology was offset by the humans' knowledge of the terrain and their fierce determination to protect their home. But it wasn't all victories for humanity. New York City fell within hours, its skyline forever altered by the hulking Imperial command ship that now hovered over Manhattan. Tokyo was reduced to rubble, though pockets of resistance continued to fight from the subway tunnels. As the battle raged on, both sides were surprised. The Empire hadn't expected such fierce resistance from a primitive species. Their casualties, mounted as human ingenuity and desperation, proved a deadly combination. In a small town in Russia, a teenage hacker named Svetlana managed to break into the Empire's communication network. Her virus spread through their systems, causing chaos in the alien fleet. For a crucial hour, half of the Imperial ships were flying blind. The humans, on the other hand, were shocked to find that they could actually hurt the invaders. Every small victory, every downed alien ship, fueled their determination to fight on. As the first day of battle neared its end, General Rodriguez received an unexpected message. It was from the Imperial flagship, requesting a ceasefire. She shared a disbelieving look with President Chen, who had joined her in the war room. "They want to talk?" Chen asked, her voice hoarse from hours of giving orders. Rodriguez nodded. "Seems we've bloodied their nose enough to make them reconsider." On screens around the world, the battered but unbroken face of Ambassador Xan appeared. The alien looked significantly less confident than during their first appearance. "Humans," Xan began, their voice tinged with what sounded like respect. "You have fought admirably. We underestimated your species' tenacity and resourcefulness." President Chen stepped forward, her eyes hard. "Have you come to surrender, Ambassador?" Xan's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. "Surrender? No, but perhaps a reassessment is in order. We will withdraw our forces to orbit. You have 3 of your Earth days to reconsider our offer of Imperial membership." As the transmission cut off, cheers erupted in the war room. Similar scenes played out wherever humans gathered to resist. They had stood against the might of a galactic empire and held their ground. But the victory was bittersweet. As the alien ships retreated, the true cost of the battle became clear. Cities lay in ruins, millions were dead or injured, and the planet's infrastructure was in shambles. As night fell, survivors emerged from shelters, looking up at the stars with new eyes. The Empire's ships still lurked up there, a constant reminder that this was just the beginning. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. In homes and bunkers across the globe, people began to prepare. They had 3 days to get ready for whatever came next. 3 days to show the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the night. The world was in chaos, but from the ashes of destruction, a new spirit of unity emerged. As the dust settled from the first battle, world leaders gathered in a secret underground bunker in Switzerland. The meeting room was tense, filled with the faces of those who had, until recently, been rivals and enemies. President Chen of the United States stood at the head of the table. "We've survived the first attack," she said, her voice firm. "But we all know they'll be back. We need to stand together, or we'll fall apart." To everyone's surprise, it was the Russian president, Andrei Volkov, who spoke up first. "For too long, we have fought amongst ourselves," he said, his thick accent heavy with emotion. "Now we face a common enemy. It's time to put aside our differences." One by one, leaders nodded in agreement. Old grudges were set aside. Borders became meaningless. In a historic moment, the Global Defense Alliance was formed. Meanwhile, in laboratories and workshops around the world, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. Dr. Amina Farah, a brilliant physicist from Kenya, led a team studying the alien technology salvaged from downed ships. "Look at this," she said, holding up a strange, glowing device. "Their power sources are incredibly efficient. If we can reverse engineer this, we could revolutionize our energy systems overnight." In Japan, robotics expert Hiroshi Tanaka made a breakthrough in adapting the aliens' advanced AI systems. "We can use this to enhance our own defense networks," he explained to his team. "Make our responses faster, smarter." But it wasn't just the scientific community that was adapting. In towns and cities across the globe, people came together in ways they never had before. Neighbors who had never spoken now worked side by side to build shelters and stockpile supplies. In a small village in India, Priya, the young girl who had watched the sky with her father, now helped organize a community garden. "We need to be able to feed ourselves if the aliens cut off our supplies," she explained to the other children, her young face serious beyond her years. The internet, miraculously still functioning, became a hub of global cooperation. A group of international hackers, led by Svetlana, the Russian teen who had disrupted the alien communications, formed a network dedicated to cybersecurity and information sharing. "We're the first line of defense against their tech," Svetlana told her online team. "We need to be ready for anything." As the second day of the ceasefire dawned, humanity's preparations kicked into high gear. The Global Defense Alliance announced the formation of an international space fleet. Pilots from every nation volunteered, ready to take the fight to the stars. Commander Lee Jin-ho, the hero of the International Space Station, was chosen to lead this new fleet. "We've seen what these aliens can do," he told the first group of recruits. "But we've also seen that they're not invincible. Together, we can beat them." On the ground, cities were transformed into fortresses. New York, still partially occupied by the alien command ship, became a symbol of human resistance. Underground tunnels were converted into bases, and the remains of fallen alien craft were used to strengthen defenses. As the third and final day of the ceasefire began, President Chen addressed the world once more. Billions watched on screens of all sizes, from smartphones to giant billboards in Times Square. "People of Earth," she began, her voice strong and clear. 3 days ago, we faced annihilation. We were told to submit or be destroyed. Instead, we fought back. We showed the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "Today, we send a message to the Empire. We will not surrender. We will not become just another conquered world. We are humanity, and we choose freedom." Cheers erupted around the globe. From the streets of Lagos to the plains of Montana, humans raised their voices in defiance. As the sun set on the third day, Earth was a changed planet, no longer divided by old conflicts. Humanity stood united, ready to face whatever the Empire threw at them next. In orbit, the Imperial ships loomed ominously. The ceasefire was almost over. But this time, Earth was ready. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The stars twinkled silently as Earth's newly formed space fleet prepared for its first mission. Commander Lee Jin-ho stood on the bridge of the flagship, named Hope, his eyes scanning the faces of his diverse crew. They were nervous, but determined. "Today, we take the fight to them," Lee announced, his voice steady. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species the Empire has ever oppressed." As one, the fleet of retrofitted ships, a mix of human and reverse-engineered alien technology, jumped into hyperspace. Their destination, a key Imperial outpost on a moon orbiting a gas giant in a nearby star system. Back on Earth, President Chen and the Global Defense Alliance watched anxiously from their command center. Dr. Amina Farah stood nearby, ready to analyze any new alien tech they encountered. The battle began as soon as Earth's fleet dropped out of hyperspace. Imperial ships, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. Commander Lee's voice crackled over the comms. "All ships, engage as planned. And remember, we need prisoners and intact tech." What the humans lacked in advanced weaponry, they made up for in unpredictability and daring. Smaller Earth ships darted between the larger Imperial cruisers, causing confusion and chaos. Meanwhile, a team of elite soldiers, led by Brazilian Captain Ramos, boarded the Imperial station. "We're in," Ramos reported, her voice tense but excited. "These aliens have no idea how to handle hand-to-hand combat." As the battle raged, Svetlana and her team of hackers worked furiously from a hidden bunker on Earth. They had managed to piggyback on the fleet's communications and were now attempting to breach the Imperial network. "I'm in," Svetlana shouted suddenly. Her fingers flew over the keyboard as she downloaded terabytes of Imperial data. "You won't believe this," she said, her eyes wide. "They have files on hundreds of other species they've conquered or are planning to conquer." The information was a goldmine. It revealed not just the Empire's future plans, but also potential allies for Earth, other species who might be willing to rebel against Imperial rule. As the humans gained the upper hand, the Imperial forces began to retreat. But Commander Lee wasn't done yet. "Pursuit course," he ordered. "Let's show them they can't hide in their own territory." The chase led them deeper into Imperial space. Along the way, they encountered a small planet whose inhabitants, a species of sentient plant-like beings, were suffering under harsh Imperial rule. Without hesitation, Lee ordered his fleet to liberate the planet. The grateful aliens, calling themselves the Florins, pledged their support to Earth. It was humanity's first interstellar alliance. As news of the victory spread across Earth, celebrations erupted. But in the command center, the mood was cautiously optimistic. "This is just the beginning," President Chen reminded her advisors. "We've bloodied their nose, but the Empire still vastly outnumbers us." Dr. Farah, poring over the captured Imperial data, looked up with a glint in her eye. "Maybe not for long," she said. "Look at this. There are signs of unrest in several Imperial sectors. Our victory might be the spark that ignites a galaxy-wide rebellion." Over the next weeks, Earth's fleet, now joined by Florin ships, continued its guerrilla campaign against the Empire. They struck quickly and vanished before reinforcements could arrive, leaving confusion and fear in their wake. Imperial propaganda tried to downplay the human threat, but rumors spread quickly through the galaxy. Stories of the small, primitive species that dared to challenge the mighty Empire captured the imagination of countless oppressed worlds. In the Imperial capital, the Emperor raged at his advisors. "How is this possible?" he demanded, his energy form pulsing with anger. "They were supposed to be primitives, easy to conquer." One brave advisor spoke up. "Your Majesty, we may have underestimated them. These humans, They're unlike anything we've encountered before. They're adaptable, unpredictable. And now, they're inspiring others to resist. The Emperor's glow dimmed slightly. For the first time in millennia, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear, back on the Hope. Commander Lee watched as his fleet grew with ships from newly liberated worlds. He smiled to himself. The Empire had wanted war. Now, they were going to get one they never expected. The grand halls of the Imperial Palace, once a symbol of unshakable power, now echoed with whispers of doubt and fear. The Emperor, his energy form flickering with agitation, faced his High Council. How can a single primitive species cause so much chaos? He thundered, his voice reverberating through the chamber. An elderly counselor, his scales dulled with age, dared to speak. Your Majesty, it's not just the humans anymore. Reports are coming in from all sectors. Rebellions are spreading like wildfire. On a distant mining world, slaves who had known nothing but toil for generations looked up at the sky with hope in their eyes. Rumors had reached even this forsaken place. Tales of humans who fought the Empire and won. In the shadows of massive refineries, a group of workers huddled together. One of them, a bug-eyed alien named Zix, spoke in hushed tones. I heard the humans don't just fight for themselves. They free everyone they come across. His friend Nara, her tentacles twitching nervously, replied, But can we trust them? What if they're just as bad as the Empire? Before Zix could answer, alarms blared. The sound of explosions filled the air. The rebellion had begun. Meanwhile, Earth's fleet, now a colorful mix of ships from a dozen liberated species, pushed deeper into Imperial territory. Commander Lee stood on the bridge of the Hope, watching as another Imperial stronghold fell to their combined forces. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're receiving distress signals from multiple systems. They're asking for our help. Lee's face was grim but determined. We can't be everywhere at once, he said, but we'll do what we can. Send word to Earth. We need more ships, more allies. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Alliance was working overtime. President Chen hadn't slept in days, coordinating efforts across the planet and beyond. We need to step up production, she told her advisors. Every ship we can spare needs to be out there, supporting the rebellion. Dr. Farah burst into the room, her eyes wild with excitement. Madam President, she exclaimed, we've done it. We've cracked the Empire's faster-than-light communication network. We can now coordinate with rebel forces across the galaxy in real time. This breakthrough changed everything. Suddenly, what had been isolated pockets of resistance became a coordinated galactic uprising. In the Imperial capital, chaos reigned. The Emperor watched in disbelief as reports of defeats poured in from all corners of his once mighty realm. This is your fault. He raged at his military commander. You said the humans would be easily crushed. The commander, a hulking four-armed warrior, stood his ground. With all due respect, Your Majesty, perhaps it's time we considered negotiation. These humans and their allies. Silence. The Emperor roared. In a burst of energy, he vaporized the commander where he stood. Turning to the rest of his terrified council, he declared, I will hear no more talk of negotiation or defeat. We are the Empire. We do not yield. But not everyone shared the Emperor's stubbornness. In secret, a group of high-ranking Imperial officials began to plot. They saw the writing on the wall and knew that the Empire, as they had known it, was doomed. One of them, a savvy politician named Vex, made contact with the human fleet. I represent a faction within the Empire that seeks peace, he told the suspicious Commander Lee. We believe it's time for a change in leadership. As news of this internal division spread, more and more Imperial worlds began to switch sides. The once mighty Empire was crumbling from within and without. On Earth, people watched the galactic events unfold with a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had started this war to defend their home, but now found themselves at the center of a galactic revolution. Svetlana, working tirelessly with her team of hackers, stumbled upon a shocking discovery. The Emperor, she reported to President Chen. He's not a natural being. He's an AI, thousands of years old, controlling that energy form like a puppet. This revelation sent shockwaves through the rebel alliance. The enemy they faced was not just an empire, but a machine intelligence that had enslaved organic life for millennia. As the final battle loomed, Commander Lee addressed his fleet. "We started this fight to save Earth," he said, his voice carried to every ship, every rebel stronghold across the galaxy. "Now we fight to free the entire galaxy. The road ahead is hard, but together we will prevail." The stage was set for the final confrontation. The fate of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy hung in the balance. The skies above the imperial capital world blazed with the light of 1,000 explosions. The combined fleet of Earth and its allies faced off against the remaining loyalist forces of the Empire. This was it, the final battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Commander Lee stood on the bridge of the Hope, his face set in grim determination. "All ships, engage as planned. Remember, our main target is the Emperor's Citadel. Everything else is a distraction." As the space battle raged, teams of elite soldiers from various species, led by Captain Ramos, made planetfall. Their mission: to infiltrate the Emperor's stronghold and shut down the ancient Eye once and for all. Back on Earth, President Chen and her team watched anxiously. Dr. Farah worked furiously at her console, coordinating with Svetlana's hacker group to breach the Citadel's defenses. "We're in," Svetlana shouted triumphantly. "Uploading the virus now." The virus, a joint creation of Earth's best programmers and alien tech experts, was designed to paralyze the Emperor's systems. As it took effect, Imperial ships began to drift aimlessly in space, their crews confused and leaderless. On the ground, Ramos and her team fought their way through waves of robotic guardians. "Almost there," she grunted over the comms, her voice strained from exertion. "Just a few more levels to the central chamber." In orbit, the tide of battle turned decisively in favor of the Alliance. Commander Lee allowed himself a small smile. "Press the advantage," he ordered. "But remember, we're here to liberate, not conquer." Inside the Citadel, Ramos and her team finally breached the Emperor's sanctum. They found themselves face to face with a pulsating orb of energy, the physical manifestation of the AI that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. "You dare challenge me?" The Emperor's voice boomed, shaking the very foundations of the chamber. "I am eternal. I am the Empire." But as he spoke, his form flickered and wavered. The virus was working, eating away at the vast networks that sustained the Eye's consciousness. Ramos stepped forward, her weapon raised. "It's over," she declared. "Your reign ends today." With a deafening screech that echoed across the galaxy, the Emperor's form collapsed in on itself. The energy orb imploded, leaving behind nothing but a faint wisp of smoke. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, gradually, cheers began to erupt. From the Citadel to the furthest rebel outpost, the news spread: the Empire had fallen. In the days that followed, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered on Earth. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The planet that had started as the Empire's next target was now hosting a galactic peace conference. President Chen addressed the assembled delegates, her voice firm but kind. "We didn't ask for this role," she said. "We only wanted to defend our home. But now we have a chance to build something new. Not an empire, but a federation. A union of free worlds, where every species has a voice." The proposal was met with overwhelming approval. As the delegates debated the finer points of this new galactic federation, scenes of celebration unfolded across the universe. Former enemies embraced, slaves tasted freedom for the first time, and countless beings looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope. Commander Lee, now hailed as a galactic hero, found a quiet moment amidst the festivities. He stood in a garden, looking up at the night sky. A small Floran child approached him, its leaf-like appendages quivering with excitement. "Is it true?" the child asked. "Can anyone explore the stars now?" Lee smiled, kneeling down to the child's level. "Yes, little one. The galaxy is open to all of us now." As the Federation took shape, Earth found itself at the center of a new era of exploration and cooperation. The planet that had once been considered primitive was now a beacon of innovation and freedom. Svetlana, now heading a galactic cybersecurity division, worked tirelessly to ensure the remains of the Emperor's technology could never be misused again. Dr. Farah led joint research projects that promised to unlock the secrets of the universe. And in a small town that had once cowered in fear of alien invasion, Priya looked up at the stars with her father. But this time, instead of fear, her eyes shone with wonder and possibility. "What do you think is out there, Papa?" she asked. He squeezed her hand, smiling. "I don't know, Beta. But now we have the chance to find out together." As night fell on Earth, the sky glittered not just with stars, but with the lights of countless ships, explorers, traders, and diplomats from across the galaxy. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers and pioneers. The war was over. A new chapter in galactic history had begun.